So you guys might be familiar with the clothing brand Shein. They're pretty popular among teenage girls, and I'd say they're best known for their crazy low prices. Like if you just go to their website, you can see there's clothing here, $3.50 for this top right here. They even have a section on their website all under $1. I mean, when's the last time you've paid $1 for a piece of clothing, let alone like under $10? They've got a 90% off sale, right? Like they're doing crazy low prices all the time. Now, I'm not saying this to promote them. I'm not saying, oh, these prices are a steal. Go ahead and get your hands on some Shein. No, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna say the exact opposite, which is don't buy from Shein. The reason their prices are so low is because, well, long story short, they use sweatshops. They use Chinese sweatshops to unethically produce almost everything they make on their website, which is why the prices are so low. Like the reason they can sell clothes for under $1 is because, well, they pay the actual people that are making the clothes like less than $1 an hour, and that's not a joke. You literally ask ChatGPT about like a history of labor abuse for the company Shein, and they've got already 5 different results here. Low wages. There have been reports of low wages paid to workers in the Shein supply chain. Garment workers, particularly in countries with less stringent labor laws and regulations, may earn meager salaries and struggle to meet basic needs. Poor working conditions. Several investigations and reports have highlighted poor working conditions in factories that produce garments for Shein. These conditions may include overcrowded and unsafe facilities, lack of proper ventilation, inadequate lighting and insufficient breaks, excessive working hours, lack of labor rights and representation, exploitation of migrant workers, you know, the whole rigmarole. So yeah, they're sweatshops basically. They have a bunch of people in a small area. Usually these areas are hot and bad for breathing, and you know, you're sweating all the time. You don't get much time to even eat a lunch break. God forbid you use the bathroom. If you have to take a piss while you're making a piece of clothing, bro, you're probably gonna get whipped by your boss. I wouldn't even call him a boss, bro. I'd call him like a master. This shit's borderline slavery if you ask me. So yeah, Shein I would say is up there with one of the more unethical companies that you could purchase from, and like they don't even try to hide it. Well, Shein has been doing something recently to try to better their public perception, which is they've been hiring American influencers to literally come to China and tour the Shein factory so they can show all the Americans that yeah, the working conditions, they're not that bad. Where they basically put on like a display for like an hour to, I don't know, 6 hours, where they make the factory conditions seem not as bad as they actually are, and have some American influencer that's basically clueless come into the factory and say, oh hey guys, look at this guy sewing the dollar garment. He has a smile on his face. He loves working in the Shein factories. But you know, the moment the camera turns off and the Americans leave the factory, yeah, it's get back to work time. They turn off the AC, everybody gets back to work, and the misery ensues. So one influencer in particular, this person's name is Danny DMC. Now, Danny DMC is a content creator, a plus-size model, and a confidence activist. Now, frankly, I don't know what a confidence activist is. I don't know what that could possibly mean. If I had to guess, it's probably like, you know, a more dressed up way of saying this girl goes around saying that like, oh, fat is beautiful. You know, if you're a fat hub of lard, that's awesome, you know. Be confident in yourself and, you know, show your curves off to the world, which, you know, there's a market for this sort of stuff. You know, she's got 481k followers, way more than me, which I think is kind of funny because I would probably assume this person's fairly progressive and they're a confidence activist. So this person probably would consider themselves to be like pretty woke and stuff, but as we'll see, she basically like partners with Shein and goes into the Shein factory to justify their practices to some extent. And I wouldn't say that's very progressive. I wouldn't say that's very woke at all. And she posted this video that we're gonna take a look at where she literally goes to China and roams around the Shein factory and pretends, or not even pretends, maybe she actually thinks it's cool. But yeah, she's like around the factory acting like it's all awesome. Like, look.
One of the most life-changing trips of my life. Getting to see the whole process of Shein clothing from beginning to end with my own 2 eyes was so important for me. Kicking off the trip by heading to the factory of the leading manufacturer for Shein was the perfect way to start. I was really excited and impressed to see the working conditions. The next day, we headed to the Shein Innovation Center. This facility blew my mind. It's over 600,000 square feet. There's so much technology, and Shein is just such a developed and complex company, and it was so beautiful to see firsthand. I was able to interview a woman that worked in the fabric cutting department, and you guys know me, she's an investigative journalist, so I asked her all of our questions, and she answered them honestly and authentically. She was very surprised at all of the rumors that have been spread in the US. She told me about her family, her lifestyle, her commute, her hours. Our last stop was to the Shein warehouse. This place was massive. It's about 84 acres and almost fully run by technology and automation. I was really impressed by the extensive checklist that each item had to go through before it's shipped off. I think my biggest takeaway from this trip is to be an independent thinker, get the facts and see it with your own two eyes. There's a narrative fed to us in the US, and I'm one that always likes to be open-minded and seek the truth.
Okay, so she basically is saying, you know, all this narrative about Shein exploiting their workers and not paying them fairly and having them in unsafe working conditions, that's all not true because I went to China, I went to the Shein factory, everybody I spoke with, they said they're having a great time there, they said they love working at Shein, and I don't know guys, it seems pretty great to me, but if you honestly think about it for more than, I don't know, half of a millisecond, it's very clear what's happening here. Shein realized that they have sort of this bad image in the United States as being this company that exploits their workers, so they hired a bunch of like morons like this person, these confidence activists. They flew them out to China. They basically said, hey, can you record our factories for a little bit and, I don't know, like get all these pictures of our workers smiling and not crying so that people who follow you maybe gain a better perception of Shein? And she was like, oh yes, I can totally do that. And you know, that's basically what took place. Now, as you can imagine, you have to read between the lines a little bit. Like the moment she flew back to the US and turned off the cameras, every single person that was featured in this video, a single tear fell down their cheek as they cried, understanding the only time they would ever be able to be in sustainable working conditions is when the fat Americans walked in. Like, this is basically the equivalent of your mom being super nice to you when you have guests over to try to make it seem like she doesn't like yell at you all the time. You know what I mean? It's fake. It's a facade. But anyway, this video now got deleted off Danny's, you know, page. You can't find it anymore, so I had to find a re-upload because she got a lot of hate for posting this. Basically saying, bro, you got psyoped, okay? You got pranked. China is not that great. These working conditions aren't that great. All the workers that looked like they were doing okay actually aren't, and you only think they're doing okay because they were told to act that way. And this kind of blew up, you know, it's become a pretty big story. You can see influencers praise conditions in Shein factory despite abuse allegations. Influencers who went on a trip to fast fashion giant Shein's manufacturing facilities in China came away from the experience posting videos praising the company and throwing cold water on allegations of forced labor and other abuses. Viewers were more skeptical. In their videos, the influencers said they spoke with employees about their working conditions and were told that everything was normal. They also emphasized how clean and technologically advanced the factories were. It's like, yeah, obviously they're gonna tell you that the working conditions are great because if they don't tell you that they're great, they lose their job. Now, as you can see, this is the deleted video. This is the original caption. It's hard for me to even put into words how this trip has impacted me. Not only getting to see with my own two eyes the entire process of Shein official clothing looks like from beginning to end, but also getting to experience China surrounded by people born and raised there completely expanded my mind and just further confirmed how important travel and perspective is. Perspective? You didn't get perspective. You got trolled, you got pranked, you got psyoped. If you wanted actual perspective, all you had to do was go there without the cameras on, sneak into the facilities, and you would have seen like somebody screaming at somebody for, I don't know, doing one incorrect stitch. You fool! You've incorrectly stitched this shirt. Now we need to throw it away. I'm docking your paycheck. Like literally, somebody messes up one stitch in a clothing, one piece of clothing, and their entire pay for the month is gone. You have to remember, our country is filled with so much prejudice. We want to believe that we're the best and no one else can be better. But what if we're just different and no one is better than one another? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, what is this? Yeah, you know, we as Americans, we tend to think we're the best, but in reality, sometimes China, they just do it better than us, you know? Well, it's like, yeah, when China has no real laws protecting workers and such, they can make more products, you know? You just gotta love the pose she's doing here, like the boss up, like the girl boss energy, like, yeah, you know, I'm woke. You know, I know America isn't the best. You know, we have prejudice in our country, whereas these other countries like China, they have no prejudice. Matter of fact, you know, they're pretty great, I'd say. China #1. Dude, is this person like CCP espionage? Are you even American? This can't be real. There are so many companies not taking half the initiative that Shein is. They are aware of every single rumor, and instead of staying quiet, they're fighting it with all their power to not only show us the truth, but to continue to improve and be the best they can possibly be. Bro, they're not improving, okay? They're doing what's called perception management. They're aware of the rumors, and instead of actually doing anything to make their company like less abusive, they're just trying to make it seem to impressionable Americans who would follow you that they aren't as abusive, so they'll buy from Shein. Now, she posted a follow-up video basically after, you know, she got exposed for getting psyoped and fed Chinese propaganda. So, you know, here's the video.
Bro, okay. This is like the I have a face mask on. This is like the dark, crazy side of TikTok. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm not the fucking one. So here's the deal, okay? One, stop telling me to kill myself. I was suicidal for many years being a fat woman. I'll never kill myself. I'm here to stay, okay? Second, I know exactly who the fuck I am. I know exactly what the fuck I'm doing. Third, could never.
Third, no you don't. You don't at all. You literally got brainwashed by Shein. They were literally showing you a performance, and you bought it, and you filmed it, and sold it to your audience. Okay, I don't care, like, I'm sorry, like, yeah, little 14-year-olds who even realize that you got pranked are telling you to kill yourself. I don't support that, obviously, but dude, like, why don't you actually talk about the issue at hand? Because some little Timmy told you, like, hey, you're supporting Chinese labor, kill yourself. It's like, okay, fantastic. Obviously, you know, don't do that or whatever. But can we stay on topic, please? Like, she somehow already made it about her being a fat woman. Like, can you believe that? That's speedrun material right there. A video about how you basically lied on behalf of labor exploitation, and you managed to make yourself a victim while simultaneously bringing up the fact that you're overweight. Like, what?
Never, will never be a sellout ever in life. I was not paid for any trip or to say anything. I was taken on a trip, once in a lifetime chance. You would have done the exact same thing.
So you were taken on a trip, but you weren't paid to go on a trip? Like, do you not see how those two sentences literally contradict each other?
I have so much more awareness of what's going on behind the scenes than any of you ever could, because you don't see what's going on. 90% of what's in your closet is made in horrible conditions. So you have no right to say anything. Second, I've seen stuff with my own two eyes. If you think it's propaganda, that's cool. Again, you've never been to China and you've never seen what's going on. Third,
neither have you. You got sold a performance. Like, are you joking me? And she brings up like, oh yeah, 90% of the clothing that you guys wear is made in horrible conditions. Like, okay, yeah, but we acknowledge it. Like, I don't buy from Shein. I don't really I don't buy from like Chinese companies most of the time. I mean, if I do, I'm not fully aware of it, and I like to believe that the conditions they're working in aren't, you know, subhuman like Shein. But dude, just because you went to a factory where the boss told all of the workers to act happy for like an hour and you bought that lie does not mean that you're well informed as to like the intricacies of the supply chain and its exploitation. Like, come on, bro.
Fifth, seventh point, okay? There is so much xenophobia and racism with everything you guys are saying, and that's what I really learned in China. We are fed propaganda. We are fed a whole line, a whole narrative in the US about Chinese people and Chinese culture, and that China trip honestly changed my life. Even remove the Shein stuff, just being able to experience China with Chinese people and learning about that culture. So many things I could say, but I'm gonna let you guys go. Pop your shit, talk your shit, because like I said, I'm not the one. I know who I am. I know exactly what I'm doing. And to be a pioneer, you gotta take a lot of shit.
All right, great. And I'm gonna cut her off right there because she's just speaking pure hogwash. Like, what is she talking about? I'm not the one? Excuse me? No one thinks you're the chosen one. You're not the green ninja. Like, what is she even talking about? You're not a legendary Pokemon. I'm not the one. Like, what? What does that mean at all? Like, that's just a string of words that has actually nothing to do with what you're talking about. And she's like, oh yeah, people are xenophobic. Bro, like, what? Criticizing overseas labor practices is not xenophobic at all. Xenophobic would be saying, like, you know, like, well, I probably can't say an example of it because I get demonetized, but bro, you're allowed to criticize Chinese culture. You're allowed to criticize cultures that have different practices than the US that are objectively worse. Like, is me saying that little children shouldn't have their hands bleeding from sewing your t-shirt at the end of the day, like, is that xenophobic? I don't think so. And clearly you're not familiar with Chinese culture at all, because if you knew anything about it, you know how fat-phobic Chinese people are. Like, if you literally go to China, they have stores for plus-size people, and the names of the stores are like, Fat Girl Shop. Like, look at this. Fatty Fat Girl, BB Fat, Moo Moo, Fat Cat, Fat Girls, Love Calories. Like, no, you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't have the slightest clue about what China's actually like. And no, I haven't been to China, but bro, come on, just because you've been somewhere does not mean you're the expert. Shein hosts PSYOP factory tours for tone-deaf influencers. Yeah, sounds about right. One of the benefits of owning or working for a public-facing platform is that fashion brands will sometimes invite you on all-expensive paid trips for far-flung destinations. Journalists and influencers don't have to spend anything while being shopped from in-store cocktails to handbag installations, but nothing is ever free. Part of the agreement is that you make a Faustian pact that may as well be written in blood to write glowing articles and espouse brilliance of said brand's activation on Instagram, which makes the journalistic aspect somewhat dubious. But when Shein sent a crew of so-called confidence activists to visit their so-called factories in China last week, something more nefarious was at hand. True. This tweet says, they only invited people with zero critical thinking eating this propaganda up.
Day 3. We just pulled up My mouth, I'm still picking it up off the ground. It's so big.
Today we are at the Shein warehouse
where the products come directly from this facility to your home.
The most fascinating thing is that I've seen the exact process of Shein clothing. I've seen how it's designed.
No, you haven't. Again, like, this doesn't actually happen. You were sold a performance of what they want you to think happens. Like, this is just all cap. I think you guys get the idea, but the point is here, man, like, all of this stuff for $3, $1, 66 cents, it's all at the expense of some poor laborer. So, you know, avoid Shein, boycott Shein if you buy from Shein. And, yeah, that's about it. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. I'll see you guys next time.